and we're all grouted. Hi guys, it's Rob Lester from Lester Bathrooms. Thank you for taking the time to check out the channel. We're all about bathrooms, and today we're in this bathroom. We're tiling away today, and I thought I'd just stop because I've had a couple of requests on the channel to show you how to tile into a window. So we're going to do that now, and this is where we're at. Okay, let's take a look. Right, so we've finished all the tiling in the bathroom. Let's just spin that round. And I always leave the window till last, so let's look at the window in more detail. So I always overhang the edge or the reveal of the window by about 2 or 3 millimeters, just to make sure I cover any undulation. And when you've got a margin like this against the window, you can be a little bit more generous and come up a bit more. This has all been SBR sealed with our sealer to prime everything. So the first thing we've got to do is get our adhesive, and I like to fill all this void here with adhesive, just so the trim sits on a nice flush solid base, not this little gap in here. So let's do that now. Here's our adhesive. Today we're using a mixture of slow set and rapid, just to give it a bit of bite so it takes, and that's Top Styles adhesive. So let's get our plastering trowel, which is where. Right, found the plastering trowel, so let's begin. Let's get a little blob of adhesive, something like that, and then we'll come over here and we'll just fill out this front edge, front to back first. And then we can just flatten it through like that. Right, that's that one side done. Let's start doing the other side. So we'll grab our bit of lump of adhesive and we'll start just pushing that into the edge, drawing that down. It doesn't have to be fairly pretty at this stage. It's just a case of filling it out, just so it's a good connection with the tile. So draw that through. Same principle with the top. Just drag that to the front like that. It will grab, it won't go anywhere if you're using the right sort of adhesive. And the same with the bottom. Okay, once you've got that all filled out, get your little bucket of water and a sponge and just give this all a clean up off the edge, and I tend to just brush it forward like that. If you get right in there and just get it, make sure you get it out of the grout joints and just brush it off the face of the tile. So you don't want really any thickness on this ceramic or porcelain edge that you've got. Just sort of draw it back, give it all a good wash all the way around. Obviously clean off anything on the window, not the edges. Okay, now we've got this all filled out, filled and washed against the window and all off the tiles, out of the grout joint, scooped out. That's all ready to go. The next thing we need to do is cut our trim in. On this occasion, we're using a 10mm sort of satin chrome trim, if you can see that, We've already put a bit up this corner and it goes very nicely with the grey, and we use a light grey grout as well. So we'll get some measurements in there and we'll start cutting the trimming. I like to start with the bottom of the window and the top of the window, and then we cut the sides in. So we get a little measurement in here now. So what we're looking to do is go from the edge of this tile, just in there, tight in there, and we're looking to get it at the edge of the other tile. And if you can see that, that's 543 millimeters there. So you start cutting that one in now. What we do first is cut one end of the trim first, the 45, and then, as Connor's showing here, you put the tape measure. Let me just show that cut edge already. You put your tape measure on the longest edge of the 45, and then measuring up, you find your mark, whatever your mark is, and that will be the edge of your 45 going the other direction, going this way. So you're always marking the edge of the window to the edge of the window, and then you're 45ing it inside the window. Once we've got our segment cut, what we like to do is take a pair of tin snips and just angle the section that's come off, because then you don't get any intrusion when you put the trim into the window. Your tile can sit inside it nicely, coming away from that, and it doesn't interfere with it at all. It just neatens it up a bit. So we've got a bit of trim in there, and we've got a 45-degree angle that's cut into there with a mitre box and a hacksaw. So that's into there. We've also got our top section cut into there as well. Okay, so now we'll use the same process to cut the side sections in as well. Get it all dry fitted, see if it fits nicely. Okay, we've got our side section dry fitted for the moment, and the bottom section. The good thing about filling these sides out first is that you can just tack it into the adhesive so it won't move. And I'm going to start this particular window by tiling the sides first and then the base and the head last. So we'll get a little measurement into here now, and what I like to do is put the penultimate one to the floor in first, because then I can get an accurate measurement down off there. So we'll measure this one top and bottom, and I like to give a little bit of play against the window for a grout joint, so that'll probably be about 2207, something like that at the bottom, and it's fairly square window. So we'll cut this one 20.7, 207, however you want to read it, and we'll dry fit that in there first, and then we'll measure this one out, and then we can stick those. So let's go and do that. Okay, we've got this tile dry fitted in here at the moment, and I very rarely bring a level line round with tiling. I just eye up. I think it's better to eye it up because you can get right down and eye the joints up. So that's in place. So we can get this one marked out, and it's the exact same width into there, but it's the depth really that we need to look at. That needs to be fairly crucial. So we'll give that a measure, and that's the one you want to get in next. Okay, that's ready to go. We've got our bottom cut in now, so we'll adhesive that ready to go, and I've got to make sure I get a good neat front edge. That's the edge that's going to catch the trim, so that wants to be quite neat. And then I tend to give it a little bit extra to the back edge, because we've overhung the wall a little bit. We're a little bit out front to back, but only by a couple of millimeters, so I just give it a bit extra generosity there, and then we can get that in, making sure we get a nice connection against the wall. Give it a little push up and down. We've got a nice margin. You can always use the margin of the window if the window's level to keep it square. So we'll give that a good connection, and then we can put a couple of packers in the bottom there just to get it at the right depth. So we're about somewhere, something like that. And then we can get this next one in now we've got that packed, and carry on up this window. Okay, we're working our way up this side cheek, and as you go up, just sort of work your way up, get down on that level and work your way up through the joints to make sure everything's lining up. We're getting into this cut now, so we're cutting this nice and square, so it'll give that top a bit of a reference point as to how much to build at the back to keep it nice and square. And then make sure as you work up, your trim is covering the cut edge. So you don't want it like that, basically. You don't want any of that cut edge showing like that. So just bring it forward a tiniest little bit, so it gives you a nice grout edge into there. So just make sure you're nice and just above flush all the way up. Okay, we get this last little cut in that side, and then repeat the same process up there. Okay, so we're making our way back up this side. Just something worth noticing, I've built the back of this slightly with adhesive just to square the window up, because the window's out a little bit, because I wanted to keep the same margin on the profile of the window left and right. So if you're using the right sort of adhesive, and this is a natural stone rapid set, it should all go off fairly quickly, because I want to get this set today and then grout it later. You can build to a little bit of a depth there with adhesive, just to bring those margins into line with each other if your window works like that. Action! Okay, we've done both sides now. We've got them packed up all nicely in line, running in joint, and now this is the most sensitive bit of the head. So you can do this a couple of ways. You can probably get a set square on here to see if this is square, or I know that I've set it in square, so I can just measure the front up to the joint here. You could bring a pencil mark down here if you wanted to, or you could just use it, get it by, like me, to get your measurement there. Leave a couple of mil joint against there, because that will be sealed afterwards. So you can get that measurement there, and then get your front to back, and then once you've got that cut ready, I'll show you how to adhesive it and get it up there so it doesn't drop down. I've got my tile cut for the top, and I'm just going to dry fit it. Because we've overhung the top a little bit to get a nice square level edge, we're a little bit out from front to back, so it's kicking, as you can see, like that. But because we've cut this tile in level, we know how much difference we have to make up. It's about 5 mil, something like that. So I'll show you. Let's get the adhesive on the tile. So I'll put a nice tight notch all the way over, because I know it's a tight notch at the front where it catches the trim, so I filled it. And then I'll just fill out the back the amount that I need. And I'm being a bit generous here, because what I want to do is really push the tile and give it a good connection so it stays up there with a vacuum and doesn't drop down. So I'm just filling this from front to back and graduating that through to what I need. So that'll be plenty. I'll just tidy that up, and then we'll offer that in there. So start at the front, just maybe pinch your trim, stop it falling down, and then we just give that a really nice push and let everything take. You shouldn't need to use too much force. Something like that is fine. Line it all up, get your corners sorted out, and then again if it's level, you can use the window here as your square edge and get the same line all the way through, the same margin, and that's connected. That won't go anywhere. I'm pulling that down with my finger. It's really well connected. So that is in there. We've lined it up with a joint here. Our trim is all nice and square in the corners, so that gives us now another square edge to measure this one, which we'll do now. And we'll just come off this tile. And when I'm measuring these ones, I always use a 2mm, we always use a 2mm spacer, but I allow a couple of mil just as a margin here so we can seal that all up. So 4mm is what you're after. So measure that square and then allow 4mm, and the same, just a couple of mil here off the trim at the top. Okay, let's get that in. Right, we've got this cut. I'll just offer it up dry fit, see if it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So we'll go ahead and do the adhesive exactly the same way. Get a nice tight notch trowel to start with, and then build it front to back and graduate that through so it grabs nicely, and you've got a bit of excess to make sure it bonds to the top and gravity doesn't try and tear it down. So we'll pop that up, give it a squidge, and that will hold there nicely. Right, line it all up, make sure your miters are all lined up, because once this adhesive sets you won't be able to move them again. You can space this joint if you want to, but I tend to just let it go by eye like that, and then we'll start on this bottom bit. Cut! Right then, we've got our button cuts all in and ready. So we're using a rapid set adhesive today, as I mentioned a few times. So when this is all gone off, pull these spacers out, and then you're ready to drop these two tiles in. Shouldn't be too long. This is a ceramic tile, so the rapid set adhesive on these will go off quite quick. So just give it a nice test and sort of pull it all around to see if it's gone off and nice and solid. And then these can come out, these wedges, and in. Alternatively, you can do it the other way around to what I've done today, and sometimes we do, it depends how deep we've had to fill here. So sometimes we start with the bottom and the top, and then fill the sides in, and then you pack against these tiles. But if these are particularly thick, you've got to watch out for this, and you pack, it can push this tile down and sort of pop it up here. So sometimes you want to change things around and do a certain side first, or the head or the bottom first. So just see how you go with that. So let's fill out this side now. My sides have all gone off. Okay, there we go, we're all done. Window all tiled, all ready to grout. I like to grout all around the perimeter and seal it all around here as well with a nice colour match sealant to the grout. So I think really the key points of doing your window is when you tile the perimeter, make sure you've got nice square cuts going around the window, nice and level. And it just makes it a lot easier when you go to fill out the window, cut your trim in. Then obviously your next point would be to fill out that area. So we've got a nice flat area of adhesive for the tile to bond to. And then obviously your mitre joints, you might need to practice around with these mitre joints to get them nice. It takes a lot of practice, but if you get plenty of trim, just trial and error. Just if you have to take a couple of mil off one, or just re-go again, try and cut another one. The main thing is to make sure that you get your mitres right, and you're getting in there and getting them nice and tight, and it's all ready to go out. And then your other point to look out for is trying to get your margins as square as you can. It really depends on whether your window is level or not. But you know, I've got a nice margin here that's the same top and bottom, and then I've got, because you'll tend to get a deeper margin on the top and the bottom of the window, and then you'll tend to get a thinner margin here. But try and get these nice and equal either side, and the same top and bottom as well, and then try and get everything as square as you can. And it makes it a lot easier to cut your tiles in. It looks a lot better when it's all done. So there we go. I hope you liked the video, guys. Drop something in the comments if I've missed anything out, or if you'd like me to go over anything again. And give us a like and subscribe if you can. I'll see you on the next one. Connor says bye. Let's go. and we're all grouted.